Get this thing started. Well, hello.
All right.
Uh, so are you ready to solve all of the world's problems?
Always, always ready.
Excellent, because I have the perfect solution to our last episode, which
Okay.
is for the femcel community to get with the incel community, and everybody's happy. How's that sound?
Okay. Problem solved.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just do it themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm about to tell you why they didn't do it themselves.
Because they're like
Because
the
you know
exact opposite.
yeah, exactly. And so when I first heard that femcells were a thing, I was like, why would this be a thing? Because you've got the incels already. Like, just get together. It doesn't make sense for it to go both ways. I mean, I understand, like, there are people who are sexually frustrated or whatever, but it just didn't make sense to me that there were two groups of people who were both saying that they cannot have sex, and they just don't have sex with each other. And so basically, the way that this came about is, I talked about last time that incels was more of a, non-gendered thing to begin with. Just people who are just, not able to date, not able to have sex, despite wanting to. And, that's the whole reason for having involuntary celibacy. But what happened uh, with femcells is that, the incel community had been up and running, and there were, here and there, a few women who were quickly kicked out of their communities, uh, which, it's kind of telling in itself. I think the most hilarious thing to me is that there's these incels, these men who are just like so angry and so upset that nobody's going to have sex with them. And then you get some women coming in being like, oh yeah, I'm so sad that, men won't have sex with me too. Maybe we can get together. And they're like, no,
They're like,
get
not
the fuck out
you.
of here. I want to have
Not
sex with you.
you. Not you. It's like,
Yeah,
honestly, I think the problem is really personal. Your standards are too high,
yep,
and you're voluntarily celibate because you won't sleep with what is available to you.
that's exactly right. I mean, I think that's the moral of the story of this whole thing. But it's kind of I dove into it and didn't really know what to expect, but kind of also knew what to expect. And I'll explain that. Okay, so you know nothing about femcells, right?
Not really.
We
Not
haven't talked
much.
about it.
Nope.
What would you think that femcells would be? Like, who would you picture?
Feminine incels. So I think, I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I
Like,
don't know. I can't
what do you think they would
picture
talk
what would they talk about? NASCAR?
about? Yeah, I mean, okay, that's fair.
I don't know.
But if you could create the platform for femcells, like if you could guess what it would be, do you have any idea? Like based
Are
on
they
gender
just
stereotypes, like
they're
based
just
on
female incels?
okay, all right. Well, what I thought that's a good guess. I'm not taking away from it.
Okay.
But but what I thought, and maybe this will make some more sense as I'm talking about it, was I was like, I think that for the most part, um, that what I would imagine the stereotypical women who claim to be and celibate would be is not necessarily about sex, but about relationships.
Mm.
And that is 1000% correct. So a lot, I mean, the thing is, here's the thing. It's the gender stereotypes to both extremes. You have the incels who are just angry about, not being able to have sex. And then you have the femcells who are frankly sad. And it's actually, it's actually really sad because, a lot of these women are they're not looking for sex, they're looking for love, right? But they're also, they've become celibate for a reason. Some of them have been abused, some of them have been raped, and they just can't have sex. So that's not necessarily involuntarily, although I don't know. I guess you can say that it is.
Yeah, you could
It
say that
bridges,
they're being held hostage by the traumas or the past or
right,
something.
right. So that part would be involuntary, but the but anyway, so that's the gist of femceldom to some degree. There's a whole like world of of who they are. There are the ones who, would be kind of more liberal, uh almost more
Hang
to
on,
the extreme of liberal.
hang on a second. Hang on. I
Okay.
think I think Reed and Jason are gonna go to practice and it's gonna get loud and I don't want it to ruin all of this.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Well, when I figure out how to edit things,
Yeah, it'll be fine.
yeah, for sure. I still haven't figured that out. I think I'm gonna try and get our YouTube going if we can, but
Yeah.
I totally lost my whole train of thought. Let me regroup since we're editing this out anyway. Oh, okay.
Oh,
So there's this whole world of femceldom. You do have the angry ones. You have the ones who are, mad at men for valid and invalid reasons, right? And then you have the ones who are essentially like the black pill side of incels, which if you remember, are the ones who just kind of like succumb to their fate that they're never going to they're forever alone, they're never going to get a relationship, they're never going to have sex or whatever it is, and it's just because of the society is the way that it is. So and then you have everything in between that. So I think some of the differences, femcel is a much broader term than I think that incels, because incels like define themselves as incels. But when I was, kind of doing some research, there was a lot of stuff about femcel characters in movies, which, if you think about it, like, there are typically, and this is again, it's a stereotype, but I think it's like reinforcing some of those, gender norms. When you have a solo female character, they tend to be femcel. They tend to not be they tend to be celibate, I should say, because you can't have a woman who's having a bunch of sex and be a strong character. Which, I mean, that's not true, obviously. I'm not saying I'm not
yeah,
saying
but right.
that. But clearly, that's been reinforced through various characters, and so those were kind of some of the things that that popped up. It became more of like females who are celibate, not females who are involuntarily celibate. So incels tend to believe, and so they completely disavow femcells in their entirety, because the core of their beliefs is that women, no matter how ugly, can go out and have sex whenever they want. They are the controllers of sex. Um, you know, without women, just everyone would be having sex all the time, I guess. I don't know, like maybe it would be a super gay community or gay
Yeah,
world. I
what
don't
are
know.
they talking about? It's so
Yeah,
weird.
I don't know. I can't figure out the rationale. I think it's just because they are angry. So, and I guess that gets back to like the core of each side, right? So, Boo, come here. Hey, hey, you're interrupting me.
Yeah.
I know. Come here. Come here. Come on up here. Come here. Right.
Boo, can't boo. Oh, oh,
All right, Boo.
boo.
Whoa, Boo. Oh my God. Get up. Okay. Well, that wasn't gonna work. Can you please let me
Oh,
do my thing? Okay, just get down. Just get down. There you go. All right. See, that wasn't so hard. Okay. So now the boo has joined us.
Uh-oh. And
Oh,
Chad.
Chad, we have a little. Hey,
Chad's
look,
here.
Boo, can you see the cat? Can you see the cat? No, you can't see him.
He's just staring
He's like,
off into the
what?
distance. He's like,
Not a clue.
Chad's gone.
There's
Chad's
there's
lost
rocks in
interest
his head here.
entirely. Yeah, there's no brains up there either. He's
Nope.
like gone.
Yep.
Bye.
No. Hey, stop. Come here. Okay, let's try this again.
Okay.
Chill out. Okay, we're going for a walk in a minute. You just have to chill, please. Okay. Where was I? Okay, I was talking about the core of each of femceldom and inceldom. So yeah, so incels are much more like they want to blame somebody else for their problems. A lot of them, like the black pills, like I talked about, they're more internalized, but they blame society still, which, you know, everything is society's fault, I guess, to a degree.
Right.
But they tend to think that the world, you know, is out to get them. And it's their fault. It's not anything to do with what's going on in here. Which, you know, just kind of steals their fate,
Obviously.
essentially. Right. Like, don't work on your personality, don't work on, you know, your
No.
skills at, you know, being a decent human being. It's
Yeah, it has nothing to
everybody
do with
else's
your
fault.
ugly personality and your gross sense of humor and your dumb conversation.
Right. Exactly. So, you know, I think that that's their thing. And I, you know, I'm not going to speak to whether this is a male female thing. I think it's just stereotypical. Like I think that they've taken the stereotypes to the extreme. And because men don't think like, I mean, not all men think this way. It's stupid, you know, but I think that they don't have the means of figuring out stuff that's going on inside of them, and so they have to blame everyone else. And like, you know, at a certain point there's a common denominator, right? Like if you're not having success, maybe there might be an issue with you, you know. So like if you try something over and over and over again, get the same results, you know, we all know the saying, you know, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so femcells are the opposite. They internalize everything, and they think that, you know, it's because they're so ugly, they're, you know, not part of society, and that's why they've been, you know, relegated to this lower class, which both of them would describe to. Both of them would say that they are lower tiered human beings, essentially because they're not able to establish relationships, you know. And so, and sexual or romantic goes hand in hand. So to that degree, I mean, I had kind of alluded to this last time through, you know, talking about society's expectation that everyone's going to be, the default is to be in a romantic relationship, and if you're not, you're sad and alone, and, you know, and there's no hope for you, essentially, you know, because there's all of these tropes, right? You're going to die alone if you're not in a romantic relationship. That's something that everybody says, right? I mean, it's just, you know, it's part of our everyday, you know, existence. You know, why are you still single? It's another question that like the people ask a lot, that it's like, you know, maybe I just want to be single. I mean, I'm not, I'm just internalizing it for myself.
Maybe I do
But
want to
like,
die alone. You
yeah,
guys are annoying.
exactly.
Just let me die in peace.
I I prefer my own company, and, you know, no offense to you guys, but like, but that's just what I want. So anyway, so yeah, and I mean, when I started looking into this, I had this moment of like, oh shit, am I a femcel? And I
Yeah.
was like, no, like the
No.
thing, I'm against labels to begin with, but like I would
Right.
never, like the other thing about it is that the other common denominator of femceldom is like it's all based on the internet, you know, just like incels. And like I said last time, if people just got outside once in a while, you know, maybe that might change your perspective a little bit. I mean, I can't say for people who, you know, have mental illnesses I hated, you know, when people told me that, but at the same time, like I think that there is, you know, a problem that only gets exacerbated when you're in like your mom's basement or whatever, and not actually communicating with people. Because, you know, the other side of this as well is that people behind a screen and not looking someone face to face is much more likely to say things that are, you know, dehumanizing, degrading, becoming bullying, those kinds of things. And you don't have that sort of social interaction, right? It's much different if you're writing an email to someone or writing a post or Reddit post or whatever, versus actually having a conversation with someone where you can actually relate to them and talk to them in person, in the flesh, right? There's just something different about it. And I don't know that, I'm sure that there's, you know, scientific, you know, studies about this, but I am not a scientist. I know it might shock you.
No, you know.
I know. Well, on top of the many other things I am, or I'm not, I should say.
Right.
Right. So yeah, so that's, I mean, I think that's the biggest connection between femcells and incels. And, you know, I really feel for young people, you know, coming up today, where, you know, you and I had internet was kind of budding, I guess, like when we were in high school or whatever. But it wasn't like this thing, right? Like it existed and social media was starting to come forward or whatever. But now it's like it's these kids' lives, right? But it's already hard enough to navigate being an adolescent. Like it's literally the hardest time in your life, right? So, you know, to have that, to experience that, and then on top of it, to have these communities, these online communities that are speaking to things that you are feeling, are going to cause you to go towards those communities, right? Whether or not, you know, they're healthy, or you know that they're healthy. And so that's how I think a lot of young men, and a lot of young girls too, I guess now, the summer of 2022 was apparently the summer of femcells, which I missed that memo entirely. I did
I
not
didn't
realize
get
that.
that memo.
I thought it was
Didn't
hot
even
girl
know.
summer. Yeah.
Dang it.
Anyway, we missed it. So that'll never come around again.
Dang.
Oh
Oh well.
well.
We'll
Oh
celebrate
well.
it late.
Yeah, exactly. We'll
We'll
make it
celebrate it in
summer 2024.
2024 just for fun.
The thing is that I'm usually about 2 years behind on like
Yeah,
movies and trends and everything. So it's
same.
just par for the course. So
Exactly.
uh yeah. So yeah, so that was the year of the femcell, or the summer of the femcell, which we missed. And you know, there's a lot of things that came out kind of after that, because I think probably until about 2021, there wasn't really, you know, femcell wasn't really a thing. Like it
Yeah.
was, but it wasn't really. Like it was just a bunch of like, you know, women who were trying to integrate themselves into incel communities, and you know, like I said, just getting kicked out immediately. So again, yeah, I find it hilarious. But well, you know, like I mean, I think that the incels, like their logic behind it is that these women can't really not be um having sex, or having the ability to have sex, because they're the owners of like sexual capital.
Yeah.
So, which I don't know. I mean, I think
But
we
even
can
if they
make
were, if you're not making a good sell, why should we give you any of the capital? If
right. If we're
you,
in a
yeah,
capitalistic society and you're taking away our motherfucking rights, then I don't
and if
know.
sex
I'm
is
just
our
gonna
capital and you aren't good enough to buy, then it sounds like a personal problem. It sounds like,
supply and demand, baby. Supply
well,
and
yeah,
demand.
keep up. Like,
Yeah,
just maybe you are not desirable. Does it make more sense to you that we just specifically are targeting you as an undesirable, or that you're undesirable?
right.
What makes more
Yeah.
sense, that all of the women
Hmm.
got together and decided you're undesirable, or you just are undesirable, and maybe if you made these simple changes, you would be you would be more desirable.
Right. Well, and I think like the incel response to that would be that it is our fault that they are undesirable
But
because
us
we're
collectively, or like, that's what I don't understand is I know some women who will sleep with anything that moves. Like,
sure.
like
Mhm.
anything. If you like put this woman in the same room with these incels, they'd have nothing to complain about anymore. It's just, you know what I'm saying? But like me,
Yeah,
yes, I do find you undesirable because you're gross and you talk over me and you
right,
don't take care of your hygiene and
right.
your job is stupid.
Yeah, well, all of those things for sure. But I think that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy to some degree, right?
Mhm.
They're going to say that it's our fault. And then they fall into, it's our fault, so we're bad. So these are all the bad things about women. So we're going to dehumanize them and say these awful things about them. And so, contrasting again femcells versus incels, femcells, I have not seen or come across, and that's not to say, that it hasn't happened. And I hope if it's out there that we find it, any kind of acts of violence committed by femcells.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and violence is very much a part of the rhetoric and the culture of inceldom. Some of there's some crossovers too. There's the women who go their own way, and then there's the men who go their own way. And I think the funny part of it is that the women who go their own way, they're posting charcuterie boards, they're posting like, well, drinking wine with my dog on a Friday night, sounds like heaven. And those kinds of things, where men go their own way are posting things about how terrible women are. And it's like, if you are truly going your own way, then fuck off. Like, just go
Yeah.
away.
Mind your own
Right?
business.
Right? I
Go
don't
off
get
the
it.
grid.
Yeah.
Go off the
Just
grid. Get a little
go.
cabin somewhere. Go away.
Yeah. Go away. Like that dream come true. Right. So anyway, and then, yeah, so, but, I don't mean to spin this to say that, femceldom is, inherently, it's like better in any way, because there's certainly certain, like, I got into this site, um, when I was looking into this, and um, quickly found that there's a lot of toxicity, just the type that you would think, the stereotypical type, the mean girls.
Mhm.
And so because themselves also subscribe, yeah, to to the idea that there are different levels of attractiveness. And I think most of them would place themselves on the lower end, and they call the higher end the Stacy's, right? And then they spend all of this time posting the Stacy's, the more attractive women who spend a lot of time on their looks, right? Putting on the makeup and like doing the things that women do to be conventionally attractive, in this society, as we've been talking about. And they just shitpost them. They just like knock them down. They're bullying them. They're mean, and like, yeah. And so that's the talk. I mean, it's funny because it always comes back to being our fault. It's like, can we give ourselves a break? Can you just like, can you just not? Can we just agree that not everything is women's fault? Like,
Mhm.
not literally everything, I think that there are some complications, and relationships are complicated. Romantic relationships are especially are complicated. And dating is hell. So like, it's understandable that, you kind of make this into a someone's got to be bad type of situation. But I mean, but the reality is like everybody fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the moral of my story. Everyone fucking sucks. And that's just life.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the end, goodbye.
The end. Goodbye. Well, honestly, I was just thinking, God, this would be so much easier if everyone just did what I did, which is blame myself for everything, even when
Oh
it's
yeah.
not my fault. And then
Oh
it's
yeah.
easier because I go, oh my God, I'm so sorry that it's windy right now. I totally messed this up. Kind of like that one time I puked in the bathroom and I totally
Right.
ruined your night. You didn't even
Yeah.
know that I puked, but I was sitting there like,
I
this is
didn't
my
even know
fault. This is
it.
totally my fault. I took all the fault, and then we all just moved on with our lives.
We
So
would have had a perfect night had you not just gone and
had I
thrown up
not
in the
puked in
bathroom.
secretly
How
in the
dare you?
bathroom. I know I have a
I yeah.
problem.
Do you think that's like an ADHD thing? Because well, and I don't know if it's that or being the daughter of a former religious, zealot. So I don't
Me?
know. Not you, no, me,
Oh,
not you.
oh,
Because
got it.
because
Oh,
I,
puking in bathrooms?
no, blaming everything, like everything
Oh,
is your fault. Because
oh,
that's
okay.
I'm working through it to some degree, but like
Yeah,
it's been a struggle to try and like overcome that and realize that like, not everything is my fault.
yeah,
As
I know.
as much as
It's
it
a
makes it, sorry.
no, I was just saying it's a lifelong battle.
Right, right. Well, and I think you're right to some degree because like if you are to blame for everything, then you control everything, right?
Hmm.
And so there's that level of you know, narcissism, I guess.
Well, for me, I'd
Sorry.
just rather take the blame and be like, okay, here's the blame. Don't
Yep.
care. Like, go ahead, put it on me. And then I'm going to be like, oh, whoa, this really sucks. Oh, wow, it
Mhm.
actually hasn't changed anything in my life. And I move on. Like, I don't know.
Right.
It's just so much easier for me to take blame for things personally
Yeah. Yeah.
because then I can take the blame and like shift it and get rid of it and move on and everyone can live happily. I don't
Conflict
know.
avoided. Yeah, that makes sense too. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it is just who we are and why we're friends. So
I
yeah.
mean, if we're going to be real, it's because my dad's a narcissist and misogynist, and I'm his only child, and I was born with a vagina.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. It always comes back to one of those. I mean,
So really, it is my fault. Oh my God. It's my fault. I was born with a vagina.
well, and
See?
that's that. I mean, all of the incels would say that if you were just born as a man. Well, and
Well,
so
then they'd
okay,
have
so
no one to have sex with. Who are they going to have sex with if everyone's born with a penis?
well, I don't think they want that. I think that they want a walking sex toy.
Oh,
And they think that that's what women are essentially. So I mean, I talked about this whole like capitalism thing. The interesting thing about, and this is supposed to be about femcells. I'll turn it there in just a second, but like part of their propaganda, for lack of a better word, is to redistribute sex. So, their whole 80-20 thing where they think that 20% of the men are having sex with 80% of the women, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. They think that that sex should be redistributed among the people who are not having sex somehow, as if it's like a thing, as if it's not a human being attached to the thing that you're doing, right? And I think it's
right.
just, I think it's I mean, these are virgins, I'm not going to cut them slack because I'm going to read you a couple of things that they've said here in a sec, but like at the same time, they really don't understand women. They really don't understand, and like I said, they're not around them enough. And I think this is, one of those things of exposure where we talked about this last time, like there was that black guy who went in and infiltrated the KKK. And I think the same thing could be done for incels. I don't know that you can say the same for femcells, to be honest, because I think a lot of them, um, certain ones, I guess like certain groups of them, do blame men, like I said, and do have that experience with men, and as a result of having that experience with men, have turned to femcelldom. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that there are, subgroups out there of femcells who don't have experience with men, and that's more the problem. But a lot of these women are actually in relationships or have been in relationships, have had sex, are not virgins, and are simply unable to find a long-standing romantic relationship. So that's the difference between them. And so there are a couple things. So and this is just so telling of where we are as a society, because when inceldom came out, there was never a question about like what they were about, or like what are they doing, like, you know, that
What's
kind of
their
thing. Like,
platform?
right, what's their platform? So the Atlantic did, and this made me so kind of mad. They did an article on Femcels, and they were just like, what do they want? Like, what's for what purpose are they existing? And they didn't come up with anything. And it's like, maybe this is just a community of women who are just tired of, you know, the hookup culture, the, you know, all of the things that, you know, are prevalent in society, of, like we talked about, like this lookism kind of thing, where you know, I think everybody is let me put it this way. Attractiveness is a trait that is valued more than actual personality traits. And especially when it comes to romantic relationships. And granted, like I've said, physical attraction is what, you know, drives people together to be in sexual romantic relationships and stuff like that. At the same time, you know, it's elevated, and maybe this is evolutionary, I don't know, to the degree that people feel bad about themselves, no matter how good they are. Shallow hell. You know, that they're nobody unless they're conventionally attractive, right? So anyway, but moving to a different topic to some degree. So what is actually, no, it was exactly part of the same topic. So scratch that. But so talking about like how women and men, you know, this is the same side of the coin on this side, and this particular issue. One of the things that was in that Atlantic article that actually landed with me, because I'm, you know, and I think both of us are pretty anti-toxic positivity, right? And there's a lot of that in liberal feminism, dealing with like women's looks, right? Trying to shun the idea that beauty standards have become what they are, and that, you know, women should just embrace that their own beauty has its own level of toxic positivity, that, you know, I kind of didn't really think about. But like there was something kind of unsettling about all of this stuff as it came out, as people, you know, are trying to buck that trend of having those beauty standards, and incorporating people who aren't necessarily um to that level of beauty standard, right? And so this was in the article where it says this woman with this femcel, when she started identifying with the term femcel, it was partly because she felt a resentment toward a style of feminism that challenged traditional beauty standards, mostly by asking those who fell short of them to feel beauty anyway, regardless of their lived experiences. And I guess that's the point, is that, you know, women who are less attractive. Listen, I was an ugly duckling as a kid, so like I can say this. That the experience of like loneliness, and, you know, and feeling like you're not a part of the rest of society, those are all real things. Like you can't just like say something that you don't feel and just do it anyway. I think, you know, there's probably other solutions to it, but to say, you know, that your feelings of loneliness or your feelings of like, you know, rejection are invalid is a form of toxic positivity. So but it reaches a different degree with with femcels, you know, people going to the extremes. And so one of the posters, and this is one of the more, I guess, radical side of femceldom, she wrote, reminder to femcels, people like you, sorry, let me start over again. Reminder to femcels, people who lie to you, lie, capital Y, and tell you that you look fine the way you are not on your side. They benefit, capital, from you remaining ugly and not fixing your looks because it makes them more attractive relative to you. So yeah, so that I guess that group of femcels are the ones who think that, you know, you've got to do everything and anything to change how you look to overcome this femceldom. And that exists in inceldom as well. There's the gym cells. I don't know if I mentioned that last time.
I
The
don't,
ones
I
who
don't remember it, but I like the name.
yeah, I love the name gym cell. They're the ones who, you know, they're going to the gym every day. They're, you know, they're trying to bulk up. They're doing all of these things, but they're doing things that are completely bonkers. So one of the things that they do, they like small wrists apparently is like part of, you know, they think that having small wrists, I think they call themselves wrist cells. That like everything cell. So if they have small wrists, yeah, I mean, everything is a cell, like anything that's about them that they think is the reason that they're not able to have sex. They think that having slight wrists is a problem. And so they're trying to come up with ways of like making their
Lift
wrists
their
bigger.
wrists up?
Wrists, yeah, their wrists. So and other body parts too, like their chins. I think there's chin cells.
Okay. Although, as a woman, there's been times where I've looked at my ankles and I'm like, you're gross. Like, so I get it. Like, I've looked at things and been like, that's why you're not getting laid. Like, you
Yeah,
know, maybe not my wrist, but definitely my ankles is for
sure.
sure reason why I haven't gotten laid in the past.
Oh, absolutely. Shame. Like I look down at my ankles now, and that's the whole reason I'm, you know,
Right?
gonna die
So
alone.
a piece of me gets it, but I don't see why you have to like label yourself by what you perceive to be your biggest flaw.
Yeah,
Am I gonna
it's
start calling myself an ankle cell?
yeah. I think you do. I mean, I could tell you like everything. I guess I would call myself a chin cell. I don't like my chin either. So
So now are we talking about science? Chin cells,
chin
jaw
cells,
cells, like
right?
ankle
Yeah,
cells.
whatever you call it. Sure. I mean, that is the reason that I don't sleep with men is if their wrists are too slight.
Usually I arm wrestle a man before I sleep with him, and that's when I
Good.
get a good opportunity to check out that wrist action. And if they're
That's
tiny
exactly right.
little noodle wrists,
Yeah,
that's it. Get
that's
out.
it.
Doesn't even matter how big your dick is.
It has everything to do. Everyone knows that if you don't have a big wrist, you're not gonna be a good lay.
Skinny wrist,
Yeah.
no. I was trying to make a tagline. It didn't work. I was gonna say no
No
bags,
fists.
but yeah,
Yeah, that
no
doesn't
fit.
work.
I don't know.
I mean,
Cut
we
that
could
out.
get that could get gross. Never mind.
Let's just cut that out.
Never mind.
Never
Maybe there
mind.
is something to that. No, I'm just kidding.
That's funny.
Um, but yeah, I think that covers femcells for now. You know, I will always come up with a reason to talk about incels.
Oh, yeah.
I just think they're fascinating. And I think that it was the most interesting thing about it to me was just how stereotypical both sides became. Oh, the last thing I would say about femcells, speaking to that, is that incels like absolutely do not let homosexuality especially in. They don't,
Mm,
you know, they don't talk trans too much, but
mm-mm.
I don't think that that would even be allowed. Like I said,
Probably not.
there's definitely this like, you know, I was listening to one of these podcasts. I think like the female dating strategy was like a thing on Reddit for a while, and that was where all of these femcells were, and then it became a podcast. And so I was listening to that podcast, and you know, one of the things they said was like that, you know, oh, incels like they're not just like one type. It's you know, there's liberal incels, and I was like, oh fucking shit, there is like no, these guys are like radically right leaning. Like you can't like believe in women's rights and also be an incel. Like that just doesn't
Exactly.
exist.
Right? You're like women's right to choose, but not
Yeah.
sex. What?
Yeah, but not sex. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and so to that end, I was gonna read you one of the craziest to counter and I'm all over the place. This is just my ADHD coming through
Oh,
because I
that's
was gonna
fine.
try and contrast the femcel and the incel tweets, but I didn't get there. But okay, so this is really disturbing. And I probably should have like started the trigger warning. Hey,
Trigger warning. Hey,
hey,
Boo's
that
doing
was
trigger
Boo.
warning.
Boo is my trigger warning.
Boo says, "Grr." Trigger
Hey,
warning.
come here. Come here.
Boo.
Boo. All right. So, I mean, and this is really bad. This is the worst of the worst. So I'm putting it out
Okay.
there. This
I'm
is
holding on
why
to my
incels are
chair.
so scary. Like I've talked about them in a very light way so far, but like they actually are
Oh no,
incredibly disturbing.
I've encountered incels in real life, in person, and it's terrifying. So yeah,
They're
go for it.
okay. All right. So this one says, as a 26-year-old virgin, why should I feel sorry for girls who are abducted and trafficked into sex slavery? They get to have sex 20 to 48 times a day, which I think is highly unlikely. But and I mean just the level of like no self-awareness of like they're not choosing to have sex, therefore it is rape. Like I don't think
Yeah.
that they actually believe in rape, but like, well, I shouldn't say that, but anyway, while I get to have 0 fucking times in 26 fucking years, and they're literally living a life of 24/7 pleasure that millions of people like me could only dream of. How fucking narcissistic, right? Like, and just, oh God, it's horrible. I mean, so, to some extent, like, I don't know that that one was, a completely serious one, but those are exactly along the lines of everything that is being said in incel spheres. So,
Well, I have
yeah.
a idea for this
Okay.
gentleman.
All right.
Since he's not living a life of pleasure, we should send him to San Quentin
Oh,
prison,
yeah. Sure.
and he can learn what it is like to
Have sex
live
that you don't
that
want to
life.
have.
Yeah, yes, have all that sex that
Yeah.
he doesn't want to have. Or
Right.
no, like, I mean, he does want to have. Like, let's show him that he can lead the life that he's always wanted to
Oh,
live. He
yeah.
wants to live this life of being a child sex traffic victim.
Mhm.
Let's
Right.
make that dream real for him.
I'm for it. I'm for it. I'll send him there, you
Let's
know.
go. Let's go.
I
Let's
know it's
go to
usually
San
my
Quentin.
job just to get people out of there, but like, you know what? I'll switch gears for this one.
Let's go
So,
to Gen Pop. Let's go to Gen Pop. You see what it's like for a while.
yep.
And then you
Good
can
luck.
tell me whether or not that's a pleasurable way to live.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say this, but like the Prison Rape Elimination Act is a thing, and we're trying to like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
eliminate
by the way, we
all of
don't want
that,
that.
but
Oh yeah, by the way, we
but
don't want that.
it's
I'm
a
so
bad
sorry.
thing. No. I'm just I'm just saying it because, it is a thing. And it's terrible. And it's another
Well,
reason that
maybe
like
we could just sex traffic him. Has he thought about that? Has he tried sex trafficking himself?
maybe he should. I'm sure there's a market. There usually is,
Yeah,
you know.
there's a
So
market for everything.
yeah, but that's the difference. Like femcells are not on any FBI watch lists or any other kind of terrorist watch lists. Incels definitely are. So that's the
Interesting.
difference. Men are terrorists.
Sounds about right.
Gonna get canceled for saying that, but whatever. Kind of true. Whatever.
I'm not saying it, but I'm not saying it.
Yeah. So yeah, but there you
Dang.
go. That is femceldom in a nutshell. And like I said, I'll probably come back to it at some point. It's I mean, the femcells were, and I don't know if this is just because like I am a woman and like I kind of get some of like what these women are saying and doing or whatever. And I don't get it on the incel side, but like it was less interesting to me than incels because they're just
It
crazy.
doesn't make
So
sense.
it
Yeah,
doesn't make
because it's like a
sense.
mystery that needs to be solved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, so femcells, there you go. There you go. Now you know.
I
Now
do.
you
Thank you.
know. You're
More
welcome.
love.
Now you know. All right, well then I guess we'll figure this out on well, I don't know, Sunday's 2 days from now, so
Yeah, I know,
at some
right? And
point.
It's so crazy. I'm gonna do my best, but it's really crazy in between now and the elopement on the 9th.
Oh yeah. Do you need me for anything on that? I guess we'll
No,
sign
no,
off.
it's like luckily it's all basically thrown together.
Nice.
And it's just
Okay.
about really getting it over with at this point.
Okay.
Oh, because then I can focus on everything else.
On life in general.
Life. I have to take my final exam for interior design.
Oh man,
And so
that's
I was
rough.
thinking, yeah, I was thinking I would take a nap right now and then
Good plan.
pick it pick it back up, you know?
All right. Well, good. Well, go enjoy your nap. Uh,
Yay!
until next time.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.